Hello, hello.
Brian, are you also running the drone thing, the drone pathway?
Tomorrow,
Yes.
I am facilitating with Lauren.
Oh,
Lauren's kind of leading, and I'm a facilitator with her. All right.
I'm stoked, dude. I'm doing AP Cyber next year because of this, and then doing a standalone drone class because of that pathway. So thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we got a CTF workshops out there too that we're going to be doing
Is that like late October?
mid-October. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm at least I signed up for it, and then I'm gonna try to get out of school for that. That's pretty cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be
And we give
there.
you and we give you money. You're going to do the East office location. Yep. Tell your
Yeah.
friend. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, we've been pressured to get a lot of stuff out there. So we're all working pretty hard developing stuff. So, all right, I don't know if we're going to have too many more. And I'm going to start here in about another minute. So, yeah. Um, so, oh my. So hopefully get you guys out of here early. I know it's a busy day, long days for you, for everyone.
I have 3 meetings tonight. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah,
So
I have a CSTA meeting I'll probably go to later tonight too. Yeah. So, all right, let's just wrap in. Hope everyone's having a good, a month into school now. You got the schedules down. Now you're looking forward to days off, right? Yeah. Um, so today we're talking about identifying disparities in cybersecurity education, and hopefully everyone's been able to use the format we've been doing all right. We just started using our community of practice and creating cohorts last year. So this year we're all doing it. We're doing our micro credentials in there. So we're kind of, I'm going to be doing a monthly webinar on cyber bites that are going to start in October, and I'm going to put them on the community of practice too. So, and invite people. So, and so we're we're out there. We're trying to make sure the state knows we're doing our job. So, all right, even though we don't have any money yet, so we're surviving. So today, just to quickly go over same shared things. We're gonna just be open. If you guys all know me by now, I'm pretty laid back. This is for you, so I'm not held to my schedule per se, but so um this is the schedule here. And I know last time we had a discussion about this, about some of the disparities, and I tried to fix those for those 2 months that there were disparities. So I'll make sure Tuesdays are open on those weeks as well. And I have no problem doing that. There's flexibility. There's someone else coming in. Just wait. Let's just wait. There we go. Make sure he gets in. All right. Welcome. Welcome. All right. So we're just going over the schedule. Just started. So hopefully everyone's doing well. Course, um, like I said, in December, I'm also adjusting where I'll have a Tuesday and a Thursday. And since I messed up the schedule there, and I apologize for that. And so then today we want to talk about the objectives. And today, and I also have a link there. Most of you are in the community of practice, but I just want to have it. If you want to get into there, because that's where the materials are for today and the packet. It is opened up. I opened it up about an hour ago. So that's open for the next module D. Our objectives today session is focused on building awareness of disparities in cybersecurity education and developing skills to identify and address these disparities in your own context. Now we're examining, some current data and representation in cybersecurity education, and we're analyze some root causes of disparities and begin applying data analysis techniques to your specific settings. This work will lay the foundation for the asynchronous activities that you will do when you're on. A lot of what we do in the live session is setting you up for what you're going to do on your own, so you're on the right track for it. And so yeah, so my little thing here, the question for you, if you want to join: why is addressing disparities in cybersecurity education? Well, that's a terrible. I did this the last minute. Why is addressing disparities in cybersecurity education matter? Why does it matter? Okay. So you can do this on your phone. So why does it matter? Is voice input for all? Okay. Yeah, everyone should have access to good, high-paying jobs and growing industry. Okay. Good. Yep. Good. Okay. Equal playing field, equal access to all, of course. Okay. Good. Yeah. We're on the same page. It fits with all our CS initiatives. There's jobs out there. Everyone should have the access to those jobs, and providing the resources for that are important. Yep. Good. So, um, before driving into data, let's consider why this matters. First we have, research consistently shows that diverse teams produce more innovation and solutions to complex problems, exactly what cybersecurity requires. And we're facing massive workforce shortages. There's a projection of about 3.5 million unfilled positions by 2025. This represents both challenges and opportunities. And from the national security side, we know that budgets are being cut, but diverse teams bring varied perspectives that strengthen our collective security posture. So ethically, we have a responsibility to ensure that educational opportunities are equally distributed. So, and finally, all students deserve access, so they can have access to the high-paying jobs that all of you have said. Okay. So let's examine the current state of diversity in cybersecurity education. We have in the workforce, we know women only 24% of the workforce, despite making up 47% of the overall workforce. Black professionals account for 9% of the cybersecurity workforce. Hispanic, Latino, 4%. We see this across all CS fields, and and people with disabilities are significantly underrepresented through precise data. That's not quite as clear. Looking at educational pipeline, we see, that students, 32% of AP computer science are female, 6% Black, 15% Hispanic. And then cybersecurity degrees, similar disparities and early exposure gap. All these disparities that we know is happening not only in cybersecurity, but across all the tech industry and the tech field. So, cybersecurity education pipeline has multiple stages, each with potential leakage points where students from underrepresented groups may exit. In elementary school, how many, many of you might not have much in elementary school, lack early exposure to computing concepts. Middle school represents a critical period where the interests of the students come. And then they start, and particularly for girls who often disengage with STEM subjects during these years. So then we know in high school, disparities in course access and advanced opportunities become more pronounced. At the post-secondary level, program access and persistent support vary widely. So even in early career stages, workplace climate issues can push underrepresented professionals out of the field. Addressing disparities requires intervention at each stage. So we need to start at the elementary and push it all the way through to early career development. All right. So another question. What are some of the root causes of the disparities in cybersecurity education? So what are some of the root causes? Okay. Mhm. Unequal resources among school districts. Absolutely. Technical education. Yep. Lack of funding, disadvantaged schools, not having the knowledge needed to understand what is happening. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Educators aren't educated in cyber ed. Schools don't offer cybersecurity courses. Exactly. A lot of the cases of that is either they don't have the staff that can teach it, or they don't, there's shortage of teachers, so they pool CS teachers to go back in the classroom in other areas like math and so forth. So yeah, it's a challenge. All right. So to address disparities effectively, we need to understand that there are root causes like we just were talking about. They include, inequitable resources that someone mentioned, with schools serving predominantly underrepresented students, often having less access to technology and also qualified teachers. Scheduling conflicts. I know when I taught cybersecurity and CS, the demand of the IB and the AP program took away from what kids could take as electives. So that's always a problem, particularly with students competing, for different things. Of course, we know the implicit bias affects course recommendations and expectations. You know, we know that that shouldn't happen, but it does. And social and cultural factors include persistent stereotypes about who belongs in CS classes and who doesn't. And, that's all about educating our guidance counselors and our other staff to say, this can be uh, something that might be good for these students. Um, Access barriers, of course, we have physical and resource barriers. That include limited technology that someone had mentioned, both at home and school, insufficient broadband connectivity in many communities, lack of specialized equipment, and limited course offerings, undergraduate schools. Uh, and structural barriers include tracking systems with disproportionately placed underrepresented students in lower level courses, scheduling conflicts. We talked about all that. Structural. So then we go into the stereotype threats, performance anxiety-based negative stereotypes, increased cognitive load and reduced performance, particularly impact students in solo status, belonging uncertainty, questions about social acceptance in the field, heightened sensitivity to the environment cues, impact on persistence and engagement. And of course, you have identity conflicts, which perceived mismatch between personal and cybersecurity identity, possible cells limited to available roles in the role models in that field, and of course, cultural values potentially at odds with perceived field values. People, they don't feel that their identity fits this field, and they're not made to feel that way, or they don't feel belonged. So curriculum issues we know can be a problem. Limited cultural relevance and real-world connections. Pedagogy can create additional barriers, cultural relevance and real-world connections that would engage diverse learners. examples like scenarios that reinforce stereotypes about who works in cybersecurity could affect students that, are from different cultures. They can create a lot of barriers. So it's just things we got to look at, assessment methods, create disadvantages. So data to drive this. Enrollment data can, in your context, key matrices you can examine to include enrollment data showing course participation by different demographic groups. Most data tracking continuation to advanced courses, achievement data, maybe examining performance and assessment outcomes. You got to look at patterns. This population being encouraged to go in these courses, or are they not? And it might take some digging to look at. Then you have qualitative and quantitative approaches, enrollment, course taking patterns, achievement and assessment, participation tracking, pre and post surveys, then qualitative student interviews, classroom observations, student work, and then exit interviews. All those are ways that you could get data to look at what's happening in your school. So here's the key ethical considerations when analyzing your disparities. Always protect student privacy. Avoid, framing the underrepresented groups, recognize intersectionality of identity factors, include student voice, have them involved in the conversation, and use data-driven improvement. And consider contextual factors beyond the numbers. So this is all leading up to, creating like an action plan that you can kind of create. Ultimate goal of data analysis is to inform your action, what you want to do. And this begins by identifying these specific disparities in your groups. And then develop targeted strategies with clearly defined, measurable ways to do it. So in developing a cybersecurity program, I want to begin with looking at building an inclusive program, because if you want to build it, you want to look at ways to make sure you're including all the different groups so that they all feel that they could take part in this. So what we're going to do in the breakout room, this is what we're going to do mainly room. That's why I went through the material really quick. I think it's more if we can interact. But I want to, if you look, and if we go to, let me stop share for a sec. Stop share. Okay. So if we go to our, let me go up here. All right. If we go to your, our course, the course page, and in there, if you opened up your workbook, okay, and I'll just open up the workbook. The workbook is in the Getting Started section of Part D, and if you open that up, and I'll share here in a sec, put this up here. But what we're going to do, I was going to put you in some groups, and we're small, so we might do this together, okay? It doesn't make sense to put us in two groups. We can work through this together, but if you look in the workbook, okay? If you look, okay, so you got Module D workbook, and you look at the live session identifying disparities, and you go to this part, you make your copy. This is what we're going to work through today. We're just going to take like time to work through some of this, and then we'll take it by section. Just put your name, your school district, your role, and the grade levels you teach. And this is a way we're going to look at. This will help guide you when you do your independent work on your own. But what we're going to look at here is we're going to talk about the democratic briefly described. So we're going to have you take time this is going to, you're going to fill this out. So, and submit this whole packet when you're done. So let's take a few minutes to give you time to fill in your demographics, your current cybersecurity. Let's just do section 1 right now. And then we'll go over section 1, and then we'll take a few minutes for each. So I'll give you a couple minutes to work through that, and then we'll come together, talk about your situation. Then we're going to talk about. We'll give you. Yeah, let's do 1 and 2. I'll give you about 5 or so minutes to do 1 or 2, to do 1 and 2. So, and then we can talk about those. Okay. So I'll give you about 5 minutes to do that. So, and work through that, fill it out, and then we can have a discussion about the different groups. And this will be a good way too, because I know where Josh teaches is very different than like when I taught in the city. That's two different worlds. You know what I mean? And it will really begin a conversation of how each area deals with the different disparities. So if you want to turn your camera off, take a few minutes, and then I'll come back to in about 5 minutes. Okay. If you think we need more time, I can do that too. So to do section 1 and 2, and then we'll go over that. And just turn your camera on when you're ready. That'll be assigned to. All right.
Ryan, I can't find it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm on a different compute. I don't know.
I just put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Did that work?
I think so.
Okay, it's a copy, so you have to make a copy.
Thank you.
Brian, we can't hear you. You're muted.
It's always in the part getting started section of your module. There's a link. If you go to getting started, it's click on getting started for part D, and then you see here to access the module D course workbook. And then that will give you a link to have to make a copy. And then that's yours. Okay.
Okay.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, so it's right here. If you're not seeing it, it's right. It's always in the getting started right here. I'll give you about another minute. I didn't have my sound on. Mhm. Okay. All right. So let's look at the first part. Like, who wants to go first? Maybe give their demographics, current cybersecurity offerings, and maybe your first option of disparities have you observed in your participation. All right, Stephanie?
Okay, so um I teach in a very, very rural area.
Okay.
We're the mushroom capital of the world.
Oh,
So
nice aroma down there all the time.
yeah, oh, all the time. I drive in and I'm like, whoo, it's hot today. And I'm out of I don't live in the district, so I notice it when I come in. So I teach 9th through 12th. Our demographics are very interesting. We have a little bit of American Indian, Asian, Black, Hispanic is our biggest one of our is our second largest population, 27%. And then 68% Caucasian. So we have very little of anything else. So mostly white and immigrants, like a lot of immigrants. And that's because they come in, unfortunately, and work in the mushroom farms. They get sponsored in. So it's great because we have different dynamics in race, but that's some of what causes my problem. So I am currently this year teaching 2 semesters of cybersecurity 1 and 2. It is 1-year course. I split it in 2 so that kids had the opportunity, if they got into the first semester and was like, ooh, this is not for me, they could opt out for semester 2. And we do have the Computer Science Honor Society. I see that Sam has that behind his head, by the way, I noticed it. Yeah, love it. Me too. And we're starting to bring some cyber topics into the Computer Science Honor Society because I think it's relevant. So we're starting to do that. The biggest issues, lack of funding and support from the district. It took me 3 years to just get the course approved, and I kept submitting it every year. Finally got it approved. Let's see. Scheduling conflicts. There's only 2 sections, 1 section across the entire year, 2 semesters, of 2 semesters. Some students don't have connectivity at home, so if they miss school, it's a problem. When you start talking about identity, the good news is we have a female teacher, but the bad news is I don't speak fluent Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't. So that means our ESL kids do without. And a lot of times, a lot of kids don't have room in their schedules to even take electives, right? So that's a big barrier for us. And the last one I wanted to talk about is some parents don't believe the courses we're taking due to the future impacts of AI. I think that's crazy. But I do everything partner. So assessments, quizzes, everything is done by partner. So that's it.
All right. Anyone else? Next. Sure.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my let's see, I'm looking at my stuff. So I teach right outside of Philadelphia. So we have around 83 students. They qualify for free and reduced lunch. So we have around 52% Hispanic Latino, 28% Black African American, 10% white, and 7% multiracial, and like 1% Asian. So our cybersecurity offering. So I don't teach the cybersecurity courses. We have another teacher here who is also planning to teach the AP cybersecurity, and she's working toward her Network Plus. No, sorry, her Security Plus. I'm working on my Network Plus. So she currently teaches an intro to cybersecurity, and that's available to all students from 10th on up. They decided not to have freshmen start that one just because that was their first year in the high school. Get them used to that. So, I mean, that's our context. I would say that, yeah, I mean, it's open to many students. I would say some of the barriers, it is an elective. So I think, if you have a lot of students having to retake classes, like some of those Keystone courses and things like that, then I feel like that kind of messes with what they're allowed to take elective wise. So that can, then that can hurt like students who may be lower performing that maybe would find that motivation in a cybersecurity course.
Mhm.
But I do feel like our district is pushing it, which is nice. We have some vice principals and curriculum people who are really seem to
Mhm.
understand the impact of having these courses in our school. So
All right. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? Next.
I can go.
All right, Maria. Yeah.
Sorry. Let's see, the demographics. I teach right outside of Pittsburgh. It's
Mhm.
very mixed. I have students that live on a private golf course all the way down to homeless students. And then I have immigrants that don't speak English. There's like a high population of students that don't speak English. So our
Mhm.
district's very mixed. And we had a lot of cuts this year. So they just put students in my class that don't speak English just because they didn't have anywhere else to put them for electives. So they, just have them in
Mhm.
there. Sorry, just looking at the next one.
Mhm.
We don't have a cybersecurity class right now. I was supposed to, but I'm kind of, as the computer science teacher, kind of the afterthought, I guess,
Mhm.
of
Yep. Yep.
the scheduling. So they forgot to add that course. So I don't have cybersecurity this year. Every year for the past couple years, they keep saying, we're going to add it. We're going to add it. So hopefully we'll add it soon. I don't want it to be the AP first year, obviously.
Mhm. Sure.
Hopefully they don't push that on me. Um, so I don't know what else was I do
You-
have students that are very interested in computer science, so I do have a full schedule like of the other computer science courses. So hopefully I'll have a lot of interest in cybersecurity when we do start teaching cybersecurity.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. All right. Anyone else? Josh or
Sure. My sort of demographics is Solanco's 85% white, and then 10%, 15% Hispanic. And then 30% of our students are eligible for free and reduced. We don't have any offerings, but I don't know. I'm just going to leap into the cyber class
Mhm.
next year as far as AP cyber. And just as far as like the disparities in enrollment, it doesn't in CS. I'm going to assume the trend will continue in CS and in cyber. It doesn't reflect the makeup of the overall like student population.
Mhm. Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Yeah, Jennifer. You're muted there.
All right. So South Allegheny is in the heart of the Mon Valley. So Title I school district, 100% free lunch, economically disadvantaged to say the least. District where I grew up. So I'm proud to be there. It is changing significantly. We're getting close to even mix of white and mixed race population. My husband's out there doing something with the house. 34 students ESL. We don't have any public transportation and we're a food desert. So that
Mm.
presents problems in itself. But we are lucky. I guess that status gets us money.
Okay.
And we had a significant RK Mellon grant, $250,000 that we started a cybersecurity pathway 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I believe we're the second school in the country to partner with CompTIA for public schools. So we
Okay.
do have kids who will, after next year, graduate with gold industry credentials. So with that being said, we have a really cool space. It looks really neat. Kids want to come to it. 7th and 8th graders are all given a special rotation, 7 weeks to take a taste of it. And then that leads us into high school.
That's good.
It's been challenging to keep kids, like many mentioned, the elective courses they don't always have time for it in their schedule, and it is sometimes seen as an elective versus a true pathway
Sure.
for careers. Most of our kids don't go to college, so that presents problems. I mean, we do have a dedicated cybersecurity teacher we just hired from Pittsburgh Public this year.
Oh.
And also he's getting esports off the ground. So we're hoping to keep them in that pathway. One of our boroughs also has free training for cybersecurity where anybody can go and um, be trained in our neighborhood. So, we're hoping to keep them in cybersecurity. So we're fortunate that way because we see the potential for, like you mentioned, good jobs.
Mhm.
Or often kids who don't have driver's licenses and can't get out because there's no and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I know we don't have a lot of time to do anything else, so I'm gonna let you work through this yourself. But I think that was a good experience to see where we're all coming from and what we're all dealing with, and the barriers and the demographics we all deal with and that effect. So as you work through this, think about, existing data that you have out there and collection, maybe brainstorm some ideas of what you're going to do, and then, resources that you might use and the next steps. This you just fill out along with what you're going to do with the rest of your packet. And I have some reflection questions at the bottom of this live, what disparities might exist in the educational context and what barriers seem to be, just fill those out as well. Just take your time with this. And then, but what I do want to do is I want to give some time because I wish we had more, and I don't want to take. I want to give you. I want to, some resources to further explore out there. I want to share some resources for you. If you see on the screen, NC WIT, Women in Tech is a good place. Kapoor Center, about the lead. I did a cohort with them when I was a teacher, culture responsive pedagogy cohort, and they have a lot of materials. If you go to the Kapoor Center and about the the tech world, and they're a nonprofit geared towards trying to create an inclusive tech industry, and it starts with also CS education. The NCF, broadening participation in computing resources, CSTA, of course. Of course, you have CS for all. Of course, CS and PA, patent, black in cybersecurity, women in cybersecurity, the no, WICYS, and then the access computing. These are just some resources you could use, and they're out there for you in your materials. This PowerPoint I'll add it to uh, the live session module, so it will be out there after I do Thursday's event, and I'll add the recording as well. So here's what you're going to do on your asynchronous stuff. When I get back in here, you're going to work on engaging underrepresented groups. Don't go by the times. It might take a little longer, a little less. Strategy for recruitment. Basically, what you would have done today in this live session. And then you're going to look at inclusive and adapted teaching. Look at universal design for learning, differentiation, and culture responsive. Then you're going to build inclusive programs. You're going to program design for accessibility and inclusion. Community, one of the things you'll do is take a lesson plan I have provided, or you can take a lesson plan from like cyber.org or whatever, and then you want to, make it universal designed and inclusive. So those are some of the things that you will do. And then, so I just want to leave it. Any questions on what you have planned for the next month? Okay. I have a couple things, housekeeping things I just want to do. We have a lot of stuff being offered, a lot. Where they have tasked us to have a lot to do. So I have a couple things I want to share that I'm working on, but all of them can be found on the website. So I'm doing this CTF, Capture the Flag, 3 days. We are partnering with Carnegie Mellon and Pico. And so that's why they're hosting the kickoff. And you can come out to that even if you're on the East Coast. But we have data, and then we have then central office. They're going to come host there, and then we're going to do it at the East office. So and you get $450 travel expenses if you're eligible for it. You have to be so many miles. And the registration just opened today. We finally got the Act 48 cleared for that. So I will put that in the chat for you so you can, if you're interested. And if you filled out the interest form that was originally on this SMORE, fill out this to register. Okay. And I'm going to email everyone that did the interest form tomorrow to tell them that. But if any of you did that already, fill this out. Now the registration is open. Takes a while for Act 48, and we've been putting a lot on our Sadie to do a lot of stuff. And then I want to share a couple different things. Another thing, I do have an inclusive programming also. This is going to be like an online cohort that will start in October at your own pace, and that is with Quorum. Now, Quorum was designed by UNLV professor, and he helped design a curriculum specific for us. And we used it this summer. I had a summer PD for 4 days, and then now I have a teacher cohort. And in the spring, we're going to do an accessible program with Quorum. I mean, design programming with Quorum in the spring. So this is a good lead up. So I have that in there. And then the other one that we do have is that I am working on is, well, that doesn't include you. I have another cybersecurity cohort. So you guys don't want to do it twice. I have another cohort 2 starting. So, but we also have our summit. We're having a summit again. And that is also, if you go to this tiny URL, everything is on this tiny URL. I'll share that with you. I'll copy it here. This tiny URL has all our PD offerings right now. And like I said, starting next month, I'm going to have Cyber Bites webinars that will be, you can join it live. I know we'll record it and share it later too. But I'm hoping to have guests in there, not making it just all me speaking. I'm hoping to have, the first one I'm talking about, because I'm starting in October, Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So I'm hoping to get someone from cyber.org or Common Sense Media to come join me. I'm trying. They're busy, I guess. So, but then we have all those, that last link has all our resources and all our PDs that are coming up. So the last thing I need you to do before you leave today, okay? So next, so what your task on is, I need you to fill this out. And this is to get credit, remember, because you're going to, no, I didn't want that, but I'll put this in here. So you need to fill out this form, okay? And if I can get it. And in that form, it's going to you're also going to have this is basic, just making sure you got attendance. And then in there is a high quality performance survey that, whoops, is this all going to Sam? Everything I'm doing is going to Sam. Sam sent me a message now. Everyone in the meeting. So let me do this. None of that
I don't
stuff.
see anything.
Yeah, all right.
I felt really special. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's the survey. I'll get the tiny URL for all the other stuff. So I'll put all that stuff back in here too. This link has all our PD, and I'll do this right here. So this is all our PD, the summit and everything that I talked about. And then some of the newsletters, I'll do the CTF one, I'll put in there. So, but the survey, if you want to do that now, you can do that by the end of today if you can do it. But that's all I have for now. If anyone has questions, I know Sam, you want to talk afterwards, so that's fine. I'll stay on. I'll just stop the recording when everyone's done. But I thank you for your time and hope to see you at some of our other events. We got a lot going on, and we're going to be, if you want to make a few extra dollars, we're offering stipends on almost everything. So, and yep. All right. And I'll stop sharing out. Now I can see everybody. There we go. So I hope when you're done, and survey or anything, the attendance for me is short, and then in there you see a high quality link to a high quality survey, and I'd ask that you do that. Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. That's from actual Patton. They want us to do a survey that will link that they can look at with it with no names. Yeah, as you can see. But, all right.
Thanks, man. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for being a part of it.